Ladies and gentlemen, the Season 1 career champion and the current #1 ranked player in the world from Winged Stars, Soulkey! And he goes head-to-head with a man who has already finished as the runner-up at Intel Extreme Masters New York and at DreamHack Stockholm in 2013. He is the Swedish Protoss, the king in the north, Alliance NaNiwa! He has all the pressure on his shoulders as the last remaining foreigner left in the WCS. But is he feeling it? Let's hear from the man himself.
My name is Johan Lucchesi. I am 23 years old. I'm from Sweden. I play the race Protoss and my team is Alliance. In the beginning of StarCraft 2, I had to win to pay the bills, to be honest. Like, I had to win tournaments to pay my rent. And all of this, it really taught me what qualities you need to succeed as a pro gamer. I do not really get nervous anymore. I don't feel any pressure and I don't feel like I have to win at all. I think that Soulkey is the big favorite in this match as well. So all the pressure will be on him. Our country has always been very strong in a lot of games. Warcraft 3, we had a lot of good players, Madfrog and so on. And we always been good in Counter-Strike and all of these games. So I just think it's nice to follow up a legacy where I can set an example as the best European player. I came here with my own strength and I will continue to play for myself. Whether you cheer for me or not, that's up to you, of course. I appreciate it, but you're not the reason I play the game. I play because I like to win.
Greetings from Los Angeles and welcome to the WCS Global Finals here. We're Tastosis, and we are going to be bringing you perhaps one of the most exciting matches you could ask for here. The only non-Korean here against the #1 player.
The only of
16.
The world. It is so exciting, Tasteless, and it's in the matchup that we all want to see NaNiwa play, and that is Protoss versus Zerg. I cannot wait.
I am so pumped. The real question is, can NaNiwa do this? I mean, if NaNiwa's out, that's it. That's the end of foreigners here in the tournament. But before we talk more about that, we're going to go through the map elimination phase. Each player going to knock off one of these few maps here.
It'll be interesting to see what Soulkey goes for, and he does take out Akalon. Doesn't want NaNiwa to easily get 3 or 4 bases.
No turtling allowed for him on that map. Now it's up to NaNiwa to pick the map for him. And it's Whirlwind.
Okay.
Not a huge shocker there for that matchup.
It's a pretty big map, Tasteless. A map you don't want to play against Soulkey on.
So now we're going to go see what the map order will be.
Frost as the first map.
Is Frost.
That's a smart opener there for Soulkey, I have to say. It's a rather big map. It's going to be very hard for NaNiwa.
Yeah.
And if Soulkey can just scout if NaNiwa is doing a 2-base all-in, it should be good.
Up next was Yonsu, picked by NaNiwa.
All right, gonna get that Yonsu in that second map spot. What will Soulkey go for here in the third? Belshire Vestige.
Yeah, Belshire Vestige, one of our older maps. Not a shocker there. I think Soulkey, if he brings that to the late game, will be in really good shape. Map number 4 now in NaNiwa's corner.
And it's Derelict Watcher. He doesn't want the decider on there, it looks like. It's kind of wide open, can be hard to take that third. And Polar Knight as the 5th map.
And yeah, then Polar Knight immediately chosen there. So now our players will go to the soundproof booths. Give it up for these two. It all comes down to this now. It's the end of the year, and in 2 days we will have crowned the best StarCraft 2 player in the entire world. This is a huge moment. I know people that are watching the English stream right now are probably mostly rooting for NaNiwa. Do you think he can actually do it here?
There is a possibility, but we do have to recognize that not only did Soulkey get #1 in the WCS points, if you really look at it, he was the best player all year long. This guy was at the top of everything he played in.
He was playing perfectly, man. NaNiwa barely eked into this tournament, but what a story that would be if he took out Soulkey here. And if he can take Soulkey out,
the sky's
who's
the
to
limit.
say he can't take or continue to just eliminate players and possibly win this whole thing. And I liked what NaNiwa said in that interview video. He said, you know what, I don't feel nervous anymore. He's definitely got the experience. Really, the pressure's all on Soulkey.
That's true. I was talking to him backstage, in fact, a little bit about it, and he wasn't even sure exactly what he's going to do against Soulkey, but NaNiwa loves to be the underdog, and just not being a Korean makes him the underdog a lot of times in a lot of people's eyes. So he's going to come into this match and play his absolute best.
And we've already had some upsets here today, so you got to keep in mind that anything can happen. Soulkey, he has a lot of games out there, not that NaNiwa doesn't, but Soulkey has a lot of games that you can study from, that you can try to, pull out what kind of strategies and play styles he has. And I would say Soulkey's play style is not particularly flashy. It's just absolutely safe at every corner. It's perfectly balanced.
He's not too greedy. He's not too aggressive. He mixes it up really well. That's why he's the best Zerg in the world. Whereas NaNiwa, as you said, Tasteless, you can study him a little bit easier, especially since he played Revival the other day.
I remember back, we were casting an MLG, and I was watching NaNiwa in one of the best games he's ever played. I was inspired. This guy lives, eats, breathes StarCraft.
Yes.
He is so smart, so calculated, and I think sees the game on another level that other people just don't. So it's going to be really cool, especially with the amount of time NaNiwa's had to prepare for this match specifically, to see what he's going to do here against Soulkey.
That is true. And, Soulkey, we do have to say, Tasteless, back in Korea where you and I live, we heard about this. When the Kespa players were switching over, we heard Soulkey is the best. Soulkey is the best. And right off the gate, when they switched over, he wasn't quite the best. He was up at the top, but he's shown now why we heard that so much. And I think this is going to be so hard for NaNiwa, but if he beats Soulkey, who's going to take him down?
Exactly. Who can stop him then? Now, let's keep in mind here, at least the way I see it, this is either going to be a 3-0 with Soulkey crushing, or it's going to be, I would say, a 3-2 with NaNiwa winning this. Do you see it any other way?
I could see this going right down to the wire either way, Tasteless. But Soulkey, he has to be the favorite. I'm choosing Soulkey with a 3-2 victory here.
For me, I'm looking at Soulkey, and I'm thinking he's probably going to win this entire tournament. But
I think he is the favorite coming in.
In my heart, just like in Control said, I'm rooting for NaNiwa here. And here's a closer look at our map, Frost.
Frost is a pretty gigantic map when you play on it. In fact, it's so big that we may see NaNiwa do some sort of crazy 2-base all-in.
Yeah, the shaping of the map as well is a little bit wonky compared to a lot of the other maps we have, with these small cracks throughout the middle of the map that you have to then move around. We do now have both players in game, so once we get the confirmation to start this, we will get this going. Are you guys having fun here at BlizzCon 2013? It is packed down here. And it does look like both players are ready to go. I'm really excited to see what does NaNiwa have in store here. He has been so solid, just historically on the foreign scene. And we've seen the Koreans slowly but surely take over pretty much everything, right?
NaNiwa is almost the last bastion of hope for the foreigners.
Exactly, yeah. He is the last foreign hope this year. How far can he get? Or are the Koreans just going to prove to us that they are so dominant that they should make up almost the entire final section here of WCS? It's a really interesting story.
Well, Sweden always considered one of the top gaming countries in the world, and NaNiwa is no exception here. A lot of great Swedish players back home where he's from, but this guy is someone that actually has trained a lot in Korea, so you can't fully even separate him from them.
You make a good point, because Sweden is another powerhouse when it comes to esports, when it comes to gaming. And he did go to Korea and spend a considerable amount of time there, and that's really where he could take all that from. So going into this now, by the way, the countdown has started, so we are ready for this. Soulkey against NaNiwa. It is a best of 5 if you're just now joining us here at the WCS Global Finals. Head-to-head here. Can NaNiwa change history, or is Soulkey going to prove that history repeats itself here? We're going to find out soon. Down here in the bottom right, the last non-Korean here. Give it up for NaNiwa. And in the upper right, currently ranked #1 in the entire world. Give it up for Soulkey.
A lot of fans on both sides, and rightfully so. Oh my God, is that a 9-pool, Tasteless?
I believe it is.
Wow.
Very unexpected.
A 9-pool. This is
not just for this phase of the tournament, but just from Soulkey specifically.
Well, you can tell that Soulkey has studied NaNiwa a lot. NaNiwa has shown a lot of new builds recently, one of which is a Nexus first with a gateway on the high ground, and a build like a 9-pool is going to do fantastically against that,
but he's not doing that. Going for gateway right away here at the entrance.
So this 9-pool, we'll have to see how successful this is, really. It's not necessarily going to slow NaNiwa down at all.
Yeah, and if these Lings get out and get to that location and are unable to do that much damage, I mean, if you guys are new to StarCraft 2, and I know we do get a lot of new viewers here, when the Zerg is not making drones early on and instead making attacking units, he's going to be at a disadvantage later on in the game if he hasn't done something to cripple the Protoss early on.
Well, you know what? The pylon going down outside. This Overlord will find it in a moment, and those 6-lings will be able to come down here. But the amount of damage that they're going to do is basically negligible. They're going to be able to get rid of that pylon, sure. But NaNiwa probably won't even end up really losing any probes.
So the Lings coming down here now. Soulkey kind of placing a bet here that the Lings alone would probably screw NaNiwa up early on. And it looks like he might be fine. The Zealot started now. But there's nothing here to block just yet.
Well, he's going to go after that low ground pylon, knowing that that's exactly what he can kill no matter what.
Exactly. And there is a small probe here to block for the time being, and it looks like, is he going to have to completely try to wall that up? Whoa!
Letting those Zerglings in. Now they're going to go after the pylon. That is going to force the probes to come out, and the Zerglings will chase those back. NaNiwa has to be careful not to lose too many probes here.
Yeah, Soulkey going right after NaNiwa's workers now. NaNiwa then re-engaging with the probes as the Zealot comes out now. Lings going up. Third pylon finishing now around the gateway and the core. The Lings come around again here and get another probe kill over at the gas.
Ooh, I think that's about 4 probes killed already, so this has actually been quite successful, Tasteless. NaNiwa has to be frustrated.
More probes killed here than there have been Zerglings. And Soulkey, look at that perfect timing, gets out right as the mothership core comes out. He did the exact optimum amount of damage that he could, and the moment he identified, I might lose 4 Lings here if I stay here any further. Why would I get behind in any possible way? He evacuates.
That was a fantastic 9-pool against a build that is normally pretty okay against it. So already Soulkey has an early lead, but NaNiwa is grabbing a Stargate off of one base, something you never see.
Yeah. This is anything but a textbook StarCraft 2 game. These guys are both just completely trying to surprise each other. Let's see now where this Stargate build takes us. What is he gonna get?
You know, heavy mind games going on, Tasteless. Ooh, a Phoenix being started. Now, an Overlord is flying in, and if that sentry goes over to kill it, he'll try to probably run a Zergling up.
All right, now he hasn't spotted the Stargate just yet, and he now sees it. And this is the moment where Soulkey, as a Zerg player, is going to start reacting immediately. And trying to respond the best he possibly can to make this Stargate route in the tech tree useless.
Well, those Zerglings coming back and harassing on this pylon once more. The sentry comes down to try to block it, but it looks like these Zerglings absolutely don't care at the moment.
Yeah, well, he can get this pylon for sure. And now he can actually go after this sentry.
Well, NaNiwa cannot lose that sentry.
What is, whoa, 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 whoa. Oh my God, barely saving that.
1 hit point left there on that sentry. 1 Zergling hit, rather. Barely saves on time and loses another probe. Oh.
This is already becoming a bumpy game here for NaNiwa. There's been a lot of things that I did not expect to go wrong that have already happened. I really didn't even expect those Lings to get inside the base there or to even do that much damage. I did not expect that sentry to be taken out there. That's for sure. Now we're going to see what can he do with these Phoenixes heading up here towards Soulkey's base?
Well, the Phoenixes probably can get at least some harassment done, but more Zerglings coming down. In the meantime, a lot of drones going up for Soulkey. He is just making his lead bigger and bigger. But NaNiwa does have that Warp Gate research done. Will warp in some more sentries. This is very annoying, though.
That NaNiwa really knows how to get the optimum amount of damage out every time something like this happens. By the way, a queen taken out now. He even lets those sentries, by the way, back there lose shields before going for the force field. That's one of the only. NaNiwa is one of the only players I see play like that.
Yeah, every single time he is just maximizing all of his energy. Really well done by NaNiwa, but Soulkey has a pretty strong lead, Tasteless. It's 40 drones to 27 probes, and that natural expansion is not even up yet for NaNiwa.
Yeah, the Nexus almost finishing, but oh so late, and the Zerg is just going to take, I think, a bigger and bigger and bigger lead here. Now, if he can get a few good queen snipes here with these Phoenixes, maybe he can come up with something. Meanwhile, you see Soulkey actually sending down Lings here. This is NaNiwa in first person right now. We're going to see if these Lings try to engage the front up here. Can he do any damage with these Phoenixes, though? That's the real question.
Well, he's going to continue to patrol around with these and do whatever he can. He's trying to find any queens that are too far out, drones that he can pick up. And you see, he will grab a few drones here and there. You know, as long as you keep those Phoenixes alive, it's all good. Ooh! Almost loses that one, but keeps it up.
Yeah, he's got to be careful there. He might be able to get a little bit more damage off, but the Spore Crawler placement here from Soulkey is actually really, really tight. It's really tough for NaNiwa to really get much of anything done, and the units that Soulkey's setting out around the map are just Lings. I mean, even if the Phoenixes pick them up and take them out, it's you know, the lowest cost unit you could really kill with a Phoenix. It's
almost not even worth it.
Exactly, it's almost making the Phoenixes not really worthwhile.
Well, Soulkey, he's playing as safe as possible. He does not want these Phoenixes to help NaNiwa catch up at all. In the meantime, NaNiwa is grabbing his robotics bay and a couple more gateways as well. Do you think we're going to see a two-base all-in here?
Well, I would hope so from NaNiwa, because I don't know what else he can do at this point in time. I mean, Soulkey's made several little decisions that have built up to something quite big that you really have to wonder, how can NaNiwa recover from this? Okay, here's something for NaNiwa now, taking out a few drones.
Oh, and
getting out.
Careful not to lose any Phoenixes. That is some great control.
Yeah.
Three of those Phoenixes down in the deep red health.
So nicely done, but intercepted there by the Hydras and the Queens. Perhaps too much of a predictable route of escape there from NaNiwa. Easily intercepted. 4 Phoenixes is the count right now.
Well, at least he's dealt some damage economically to his opponent. NaNiwa is going up for Colossus. He's adding more gateways. Tasteless, it really looks to me like he's playing very safely here. Whether he attacks or he expands, he's making sure he's not going to die to any attacks from Soulkey at the moment.
Now, we also have a Spire on the way here from Soulkey, and he may start stocking up a lot of gas. He already has 500 to possibly do a pretty big tech switch coming up here. Let's see when NaNiwa actually does opt to move out, because I think it's going to be a little bit here.
Well, he's starting to clear these Lings out. Kind of sloppy there by Soulkey to lose everything to just those few units. Could have run away, but in the meantime, NaNiwa adding an Immortal, getting those gateways finished. He's going to be going into Colossus tech very shortly. And what do you think? Are we going to see some Corruptors here?
We certainly could, and that would be a big problem here. You know, if you go back to this early point in time in this game, NaNiwa got behind, which means he's going to have to do a real balancing act when it comes to having the right units out at the right time. And if he doesn't have enough Stalkers, which can happen pretty often, especially when some players get comfortable when they already have some Phoenixes out, the Corruptors can come in and wipe everything out Colossi related.
Well, I think that there's a good chance that's what's going to happen. He is taking this third base and getting his Twilight Council. He still has those 4 Phoenixes, but they're not really doing that much anymore. And Soulkey is pushing his creep down the map.
Yeah, and then with that creep getting closer and closer, the combination of a Corruptor timing with all these ground units, the reinforcement of it is probably going to be too strong. I wouldn't be surprised if NaNiwa gets run over here at his third.
I think you're right, Tasteless. There's just not that much there. 3 sentries, well, the force fields are going to do a great job, but he really needs that second Colossus and Thermal Lance to finish up.
All right, we have a small force now pushing out here just to see exactly what's the unit comp when they get up to this big attack to make sure he has it. Now, by the way, NaNiwa does have a good amount of Stalkers here.
He does.
More than I expected for him to have at this point in time.
Well, you know, those Stalkers, it is a good amount, but there are 7 Corruptors out in the map now, and when these 7 Corruptors come in and target down the Colossi, they aren't going to live for very long, and without the Colossi, the mass Ling and Hydra force should be able to take out this army and this base.
Well, we're at the point in time now where the Zerg supply is beginning to spike here. He's going to try to draw this army out. He sees, oh, nice, just triggering a Guardian Shield there. He sees the 2 Colossi. But there's more on the way here, and the Corruptors are coming in here now. And it is, here he's hitting hard right now. The force field's pretty good here from NaNiwa, but the Corruptors are just going to wipe out these Colossi, and perhaps with the Hydras and Lings here on the low ground, everything else should be taken out.
Oh, there's just not enough Stalkers, not enough Sentries, not enough anything here, and Soulkey is going to wipe out the entire army. NaNiwa at this point has no chance, and GG.
Pretty one-sided game there from Soulkey. Started out with an advantage, then got a bigger one and a bigger one until eventually NaNiwa was really out of options. That's one of those games where it was almost over much before that final battle actually occurred. But you know, NaNiwa, if he can get back into his groove here in game number 2, maybe he can turn this around. But for right now, I got to say, Soulkey is looking like he's probably going to win this series.
That was some really fantastic play by Soulkey to make that 9 pool work no matter what, to get the max amount of damage out, to slow down that natural expansion. And the strategy that NaNiwa chose, it's not a bad one, but even if you're equal with the Zerg, if you didn't get behind early on, it's going to be hard to hold a Corruptor Hydra Ling push like that. And
it really is.
Soulkey knew that. He just went for that build, knowing that he was ahead economically, and knocked NaNiwa out.
Well, Artosis, we're going to go on to the map Yunsu. Do you think NaNiwa has a chance here?
Absolutely. You know, that game was not really completely indicative of how this match should look. Soulkey did the 9 pool, kind of caught NaNiwa off guard a little bit, did more damage than anyone was probably expecting. Soulkey probably didn't think he was going to do that much damage if NaNiwa didn't open with like a Nexus first or something. So I think this one's going to be a much better, much closer game.
Well, let's hope so. You know, if NaNiwa loses 2 more games here, he's out, and Soulkey, who everybody out of all of our players here in the WCS Global Finals, everybody is afraid of Soulkey.
Yes.
I mean, it is.
They would all thank NaNiwa if he knocked Soulkey out for sure.
Yeah, exactly. I think many of the Koreans prefer if NaNiwa actually won here.
Yes.
Just so they might have a better chance of winning this. But yeah, he's looking terrifying right now.
Well, NaNiwa, I think he's going to look a lot more terrifying in this game, Tasteless. He wasn't able to do what he had planned for that game. He tried to catch up with the Phoenixes. It just wasn't enough.
You know, Soulkey really just took control of that game with that Ling Rush. And with him then being in control, it was really hard for NaNiwa to get his groove back finally. By the way, it looks like our map has loaded up here. Game number 2 between NaNiwa, the only non-Korean in the WCS Global Finals, against the #1 ranked player, a Zerg, Soulkey. Over here in the upper right, the foreign hope. Make some noise for NaNiwa. His opponent down here in the bottom left, looking invincible. Make some noise for Soulkey.
You know, BlizzCon, such an awesome event every year, Tasteless. You know, in fact, this is where I started my live casting career.
Oh yeah, that's actually true.
Back in 2008, this was my first live event that I ever casted for StarCraft.
That's true. We did that together. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. And you know, it was I think this is probably like my 7th Blizzard event, if I can count the WWIs. So yeah, it's so good to be down here with you guys. A real honor, a real treat. Now we got these 2 players now starting their builds out. We do know that NaNiwa is going for Gateway first, but we don't know exactly where he's going to tech. We're going to have to see, you know, from Soulkey as well, what direction he wants to take this game in.
Yeah, it's looking like Soulkey may in fact go ahead for a hatchery first. Not that weird. You know, this is a build that Zergs are using more and more and more because Protosses are not going for cannon rushes that often.
Yeah, not as much anymore. You know, when you have maps that have been around for long enough, then the cannon rushes become much less likely.
Right, so it looks like NaNiwa going to go ahead and get his pylon ready for a fast expansion down there at the natural as well. And this is pretty much what you'd expect to see out of NaNiwa. But will he go for the same type of unit composition as last game?
That's the big question. That's what we're going to find out shortly here. Well, while we have this short amount of downtime, the Sons of StarCraft trailer's out, Artosis.
Yeah, everyone should go check that out at ongamers.com.
It's going to be out super soon. I'm super pumped.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see it myself. Now, head-to-head here with these two players. If you're NaNiwa, okay, and you're in this position, what do you tell yourself? How do you go into this match? Especially with the way that last game came out. I mean, last game was pretty brutal, man.
I think you just literally brush that game off. You just act as if that game didn't happen. Yeah, sure, you're down 0-1, but this is a best of 5. It's not like a best of 3 where that happens, you just think to yourself, well, you know, now I have to 2-0, that's too tough. But starting out 0-1, just forget about it. Play your best, bring your best game. There's probably not going to be another game in this series that looks like that game number 1.
Yeah, hopefully not. You know, Soulkey probably very confident from that series, from that game rather, back there. Just, NaNiwa looked weak from the way Soulkey opened. Soulkey got an opener that was supposed to beat something else NaNiwa was going to do, right?
Yeah.
And instead, NaNiwa was in a situation where he should be fine, but he wasn't. So yeah, Soulkey probably feeling great about this. By the way, we got Ling speed started here. And NaNiwa going for this little expand build here. There's just still, though, a lot of different options here for where he can take this.
Oh, yeah. He can go down absolutely any tech route. He can go ahead and just do a gateway timing attack. He can go into a third base rather quickly. We won't know for a little bit here. My guess would be that he wants to take a quick third base. And he is getting the gates before any tech, so we could see a little bit of pressure out of him as well.
Yeah, okay, now we're getting a better idea. More gates here, but no real tech being shown. So there's a high chance NaNiwa is going to try to be aggressive here and maybe punish this Zerg.
You know, 5 gate, this is one of the oldest ways to go about playing against after a gateway expand. In fact, this Overlord going to be able to scout these other two.
Now, if he sees both those, okay, now if he, at this point in time, he knows exactly what's going on. He has seen literally everything that he would need to see coming into this game. So he should be scouting around the map, looking for hidden pylons like the one we have in the center middle.
You know, whether he finds that pylon or not, he's thrown down the Roach Warren, he's making some extra Overlords, and I expect to see a lot of units coming out of Soulkey, because as long as he doesn't take any damage right now, even if NaNiwa doesn't do this attack, NaNiwa is a little bit behind.
Yeah, what we're seeing here, everybody, is NaNiwa focusing on this attack so early, which, of course, he has to produce a lot of attacking units during that, but not teching. So if the attack fails, which is now, it's coming out here, if this attack fails, he doesn't have anything to transition into. The sentry's now moving forward, going for the pylons here, let's see if this Lynx can actually take out this first pylon down here.
Oh, but NaNiwa did build that second pylon, so he will protect that for now, but already 7 roaches on the way. That is going to be a big problem. Now he does get it warped in. He can protect it from the high ground with sentries rather easily, and it looks like he'll be able to get an Overlord as well.
Hitting this Overlord now, driving this out. Anything that he can kill helps right now. And I love the warp in here on the low ground with some Zealots and some Sentries continuing to push forward. Now that is the closest pylon he has up and running to his opponent's base. The Lynx coming down here again now. This is a real problem for NaNiwa. He might have to force field around that pylon.
Yeah, he may have to if he wants to really save it. It looks like he might let it die. And, ooh, seeing all these roaches over here, Tasteless, he realizes that this attack is basically done and immediately makes gases at home.
Now, NaNiwa is in a deficit here, but he is switching out the second he's identified that this attack is not going to 100% win this game, which is important. You see a lot of players, they'll continue to be going all in with this for, you know, even 20 more seconds when they need to shift gears immediately. Now we're going into first-person mode here of Soulkey as he is scouting around the map to see where else can he possibly deny his opponent as they attack in here.
Yeah, moving his units around very, very quickly, trying to get into position. You know, the concave, very important when fighting against so many force fields. But NaNiwa right now is just trying to force more units out of Soulkey.
Yep.
He knows that he's not going to kill him right now.
Yeah,
but
he is not planning on actually breaking the Zerg at this point in time, but it could be tough for Soulkey to tell that from this position.
Yeah, that is very true, and you never know. Someone might do something like that, and it is stressful to see. So NaNiwa continues to poke in. This is some great moves by NaNiwa, but Soulkey really is not in any trouble.
And of course, he's got that mothership core there, so he can get out of there very easily if he needs to. And from here, it's a balancing act for the Zerg. How many more drones can I squeeze out? Apparently, he's saying a lot. He just took 12 more out to get to his expansion. So he seems to have identified exactly what NaNiwa's intentions are here. We're getting close to where the supply spike is going to start to happen for the Zerg, and the Zerg will far surpass the Protoss. But NaNiwa going to try to slip down here in a surprise move.
Well, he's trying to get something done here. Some Zerglings do make it around, kill 1 sentry so far, and he's having to use a lot of force fields to do this, which means he will have to warp out eventually.
Yeah, he's doing some damage here. Now, another nice force field. He's going to snipe that queen. He's just angling this just well enough that he's not quite having to ever full-on engage this army.
Wow, this is almost perfectly executed, Tasteless. Look at the amount of damage he's getting done, and he will get out of there.
That was so well done.
Oh my God, he's only lost 1 sentry.
That's not supposed to work, by the way.
No, that was fantastic.
I thought that was a suicide mission back there. But no, he got in there, took out some queens, a lot of that Zerg army, drove the drones out, did the damage, and got back home.
The most important thing, he lost only 1 sentry during all that. Of course, a lot of sentry energy, but behind this, he's getting +1 in blink. He's gone up to 7 gates. He's getting that robotics, and even adding some cannons to stop counterattacks. NaNiwa is going for that 2-base blink stalker all in.
I love this beautiful transition. Get in there, do that damage, and plan B now. The Blink Stalker all in might just have Soulkey in such a position that he won't be able to out-micro his opponent. Force fields plus Blink, Zerg is going to have a hard time against that.
That's true. It's going to take a long time to kill any Protoss units off, but Soulkey has more supply right now. He's up 143 to 110. He's getting his Hydralisk range. He's making a lot of Hydras and Roaches who have speed. He almost has a +1 range attack, in fact. So his upgrades are a bit better, and he has just the full tech tree for this portion of the game.
Here we go. The Guardian Shield is up. Force fields are coming down now. The angle here a little bit tricky for the Protoss to get into if he could have just slipped down there a little bit further. Now that pylon is finishing, so another warping round can come. That spine crawler, by the way, so well positioned.
And you know what, yeah, this is a great position here from Soulkey, but NaNiwa does get to hide on the high ground quite often. This is the type of attack that can go on for 5, even 10 minutes.
Absolutely. It looks like now he might try to go around that. Will put that pylon at risk of being taken out. There is a probe with the army, however, so he can remake a pylon if he wants to continue to warp in. Now, by the way, Zerg at 176 supply, but hold that thought. Force field's coming down here now.
Dealing a lot of damage to the front of Soulkey's army, pulling back most of his sentries here. A really great job so far by NaNiwa, picking off a lot of Soulkey's army.
NaNiwa continuing to press onward, pushing forward. Can he get Zerg out of position now? Another nice force field as he blinks back. He has to have absolutely perfect micro.
Oh, those force fields, Tasteless, trapping a lot of the Hydras. He's dealing a great amount of damage, but Soulkey's supply is remaining so high, he's still up at 150.
And now Soulkey is closing in around on the rest of this army, forcing NaNiwa to retreat. NaNiwa right now in a lot of trouble with that second, the plan B all in, I guess you could call it, resulting in a failure.
Well, look at this. Multiple attacks right now. He's warped in some Stalkers over at the 3rd base, trying to deal some damage, while this other group of Stalkers, they're staying right outside the main and natural. He's still trying to get something done, but...
move command there.
It's looking grim right now for NaNiwa.
Yeah, it really is. I like the idea of what NaNiwa is doing, but I have to question how effective it will ever be in this situation. Soulkey, it's such a lead. I mean, NaNiwa is barely scraping at 100 supply right now, as Soulkey has 2 massive armies chasing away Soulkey on both sides of the map here.
Soulkey's up by 70 supply, and you can really see it on this map. So much Zerg coming up right now. NaNiwa even has to kill part of his own wall to get home, but on 2 bases with very little tech, this is something that's almost impossible to come back from.
Yeah, well, I mean, the real curse is here for NaNiwa is how do I get a third base? Zerg could take a fourth and a fifth if he wants to right now, or he could play it differently and just try to run Protoss over. And it looks like that's going to be his plan here now as he pushes forward. And that's going to be a GG.
Soulkey looking so strong, Tasteless.
Okay, but you know what? In fairness, NaNiwa played a lot better in that last game. I mean, that was considerably better than it was in game number 1. I like that attack where he got in there with the mothership core, did the damage, got out. The problem is that Soulkey is just so perfect.
Soulkey, that scout timing with the Overlord, paired with the Zergling running up and seeing the 2 warping in gates, that gave him all the information he really needed that game, Tasteless. He saw that it was a 5-gate pressure that allowed him to get his Roach Roaring quick enough, divert any attacks that came at him, and if you don't take any damage against the initial 5-gate, the follow-up Blink Stalker all-in is not going to be nearly as powerful.
Well, I'm not sure what NaNiwa needs to do now. Here to win game number 3. Soulkey is making it look like he's indestructible.
Yeah, okay. Well, he is the best Zerg in the world.
He is so untouchable right now. It's pretty scary. I do have to say, though, that last game, NaNiwa definitely had the idea there. I think the only thing I could say is maybe he should have hidden the gates somewhere else. The 2 additional gateways that kind of tip his hand.
Yeah, maybe.
Because once Soulkey spotted that, even though that attack by NaNiwa was brilliant, Soulkey was prepared.
Well, the next map is going to be Belshir Vestige, and I think that this is a very nice one for NaNiwa. It's a smaller map.
Sure.
It's a map that he's going to... The Zerg has to expand towards the Protoss.
That's very true.
That's going to allow NaNiwa to get his attacks off a lot quicker and a lot more effectively.
I think NaNiwa is going to have to get himself into a good position a little bit past mid-game, going into late game here, and then try to control the map if he's going to beat Soulkey here. The game is now loading. NaNiwa would have to win this game and the next 2 after that. Soulkey only needs to win 1 more. If NaNiwa loses, there are no more non-Koreans here in the WCS Global Finals. And the game has now loaded up. NaNiwa needs to turn this around. Can he do it, or is Soulkey going to shut this down in perhaps the most one-sided series here today? Down here in the bottom right, in the red, he needs your love, he needs your support. He is NaNiwa. And over here in the upper left, we have the #1 ranked Zerg, the #1 ranked player in the entire world. Give it up for Soulkey. By the way, we just got an update here. Deer is currently beating Teja 2-0?
2-0.
2-0 so far. So,
well, if there's anyone in this tournament that can beat Soulkey, Tasteless, it is Deer.
Wow. That's going to be, if things go the way that they're looking right now, we're going to have a pretty cool match next. So, let's talk about this map. It is, we kind of brushed on this earlier, but for the noobs out there, you can see that there's an expansion. Let's take the bottom, for instance. Over here at the bottom, right here, that's the natural. Then you go to the bottom left. Here's the 3rd base. Now, these bases are easy to acquire, but if you go up to the left a little bit, there's the 4th. Now, that's closer to the opposing player, and same with the other expansion on the other side of the map over here. Now, why does that matter? Because Zergs always want to be ahead of expansions against Protoss, which means after Zerg has the 3rd base and the Protoss has his 3rd base, when Zerg is forced to take his 4th, it's a very easy point of attack for the Protoss. So it's pretty typical to see players draw the game out until that phase and then either try to, usually try to keep the Zerg just stuck on 3 base versus 3 base, which puts them in an econ deficit. And then the result in the long run is that Zerg loses and Protoss wins. We'll see if NaNiwa can get there, but I can tell you guys 100% Soulkey is going to do everything in his power to stop that.
Well, he is going to try to stop that, and he is building 6 Lings and sending them across the map. That could be a bit annoying for NaNiwa, because NaNiwa is doing the greediest build in the entire game, which is going for a Nexus first into a gateway behind his minerals. So he's a long way from really having a Zealot out there to defend, and these 6 Zerglings are almost to his natural.
Yeah, you make an excellent point, Artosis. This may be another moment where rock beats scissor. The Lings are now coming up here, and they're going to be going after the probes. NaNiwa needs to keep as many probes as possible alive here.
Oh, and so far so good. Kills 1 off, kills a 2nd off. Already really some effective Zerglings.
The Lings now backing out. The Zealot is going to go ahead and chase him down here, and also it looks like he's not going to be able to really mine from this second base for as long as those Lings are there.
These Lings are going to continue to mic around. Look at that, chasing away the probes, costing NaNiwa a lot of mining time, forcing NaNiwa to make a 2nd Zealot, which he probably did not want to make, and now going back up after the probes.
So the Lings just continuing not to do so much damage as in getting kills, but to make mining at the second base not a viable option, which in another way hurts NaNiwa.
He has done some economic damage. In fact, made a couple more Lings to chase away the probe on the map, and that's going to leave NaNiwa a little bit blind.
Again, chasing that probe away. Yeah, he is just keeping him in the dark right now. Soulkey is once again taking control of this game. But it should be noted that NaNiwa did not take the same kind of damage he took in the early game of game number 1.
No, certainly not.
Do not be confused by that, because game number 1, NaNiwa was hit really hard. Now we have NaNiwa actually pushing out, but it looks like a potential counterattack here by the Lings of Soulkey to try to keep NaNiwa from taking any more control of the map.
This is some really nice play here from Soulkey. He's forcing some of the units to come back. For instance, these couple of Stalkers that aren't going across the map, because NaNiwa has a lot of units right now that he had to make to defend. So this buys Soulkey a little bit more time to drone up so that he doesn't have to make so many Zerglings so early.
Now he is going to take this Overlord out here, but one of the characteristics of Soulkey is that he's always way ahead in Overlord production.
Yes.
You rarely see Soulkey actually supply blocked by a killed Overlord.
That is for certain tasteless. But he is going to lose yet another Overlord over on the side of the map. In the meantime, NaNiwa's doing a great job patrolling around and seeing what sort of damage he can get done.
This is actually stunning play here from NaNiwa to reclaim this much of the game, considering how this started out. The gateway wall-in is now there. So we have the robotics bay and the 3 gateways warping in now. He may try to do a little bit more damage over here in the upper right.
You know, at least he's forced a good amount of Zerglings. These could have been drones if he didn't force his way out onto the map, but it looks like he's not really going to get that much damage done.
No, and it looks like the Queen's now going to hit that mothership core. Can he get that away?
Oh, he does not want to lose that.
Barely gets that away. Ooh. And now the Stalkers will have to retreat. Nice save. I actually thought he was going to lose that for a second.
Oh, if you lose that mothership core in a situation like that, you're going to be kicking yourself for the rest of the game. Luckily, he does get it away, and he's making some Immortals at home on 2 bases.
Okay.
I think we're going to see an Immortal on Tasteless.
I believe you are absolutely correct, Artosis. And with a few more gateways here, I think we can pretty much confirm that. So this game is similar to game number 2, but it is being executed in a different fashion. The idea is there. This is a 2-base timing that's meant to do damage so that Soulkey doesn't get to go into the late game. The difference is the unit composition, the timing of the attack, and the way he will engage the other player's base.
This is a very old build and a very scary build indeed, Tasteless. He has 8 gateways, a couple of Immortals, that Warp Prism is on the way, and he is moving across the map right now.
This certainly makes me think of somebody named Parting,
who
we casted last year, winning the WCS last year. Was incredible, but is this build now anachronistic? That's the question you got to ask. Is this build going to be something that's going to be doable? Let's find out now.
Oh, he's got to be careful here. Those Zerglings getting on top of his sentries. He cannot be losing the sentries. Throws out a lot of force fields
there with the Warp Prism.
Ooh, really well done. And his force fields are good, Tasteless. He's going to hold on to this position for now.
Yeah, so far actually so good here from NaNiwa, continuing to warp in. That was a very peculiar engagement, but he actually did fine there. Now he's continuing to go up. The roaches are chasing him down, but you know, with a push like this with the warp prism, it's okay if he loses the pylon, as long as he still has the supply.
Well, he's got that warp prism, so he will warp in some more units. The thing is, he doesn't have too many force fields.
He needs to get in there before those spine crawlers finish.
He's pushing forward. The Zergling's trying to slow him down. He does throw down force fields. In the meantime, Roaches coming up from behind. The spine crawlers do in fact finish. The Zerglings coming up. 2 of the sentries are caught.
The force fields actually trapping the Protoss' units instead of the Zergs there. Now NaNiwa hitting the rest of these Roaches. And it looks like he's going to look for another point of entry here. And that will be in between the second base and the third base. We don't know which way from the second base to the third base he'll go. He'll have to read that when he gets there. Spine crawlers now being moved up and relocated. Force fields thrown down.
Those Zerglings dealing a lot of damage, getting right on top of this army. Not a lot of force fields left, keeping Roaches back. And in fact, most of his sentries are still alive, so this push is not quite over yet.
The spine crawlers are in position, so he wants to relocate again, but he's having a hard time in that position. Those force fields are so good, wiping out those Roaches. More sentries and zealots now warped in over here at the upper right, but the spine crawlers getting into position now.
Oh my god, those force fields once again so good. Tasteless, he's targeting down these spine crawlers. The Zerglings do come around, but then they're going to retreat, waiting for Roaches to come as well.
Isolated the spine crawlers from the army, taking him out. He might be able to kill Soulkey here.
He is just warping in so many units. He's doing such a great job. Another great force field goes down. These 2 Immortals so valuable, and it looks like NaNiwa is starting to break through.
He's gonna potentially win this. It's all gonna come down to control. Not many force fields left. He does once again isolate a few more Roaches. These Immortals are in such a good position here.
He's got to be careful, though. His sentry count getting low once again, trapping those Roaches in here. It looks like he should be able to take out this third hatchery, but Soulkey is continuing to produce a lot of Zerglings and a lot more Roaches.
The hatch is getting lower. He could go for a snipe, and it goes down.
All right, it looks like NaNiwa going to back up for now. The Queen's coming in, helping to deal some additional damage. Soulkey has to be really careful. If he loses another chunk of Roaches, this game couldn't just go to NaNiwa in a matter of seconds.
We may be beginning to see NaNiwa's comeback here. Now he fights him back down here, but remember what I said earlier on about Zergs on bases. They always want to be up 1 additional base to their opponent. A Zerg on 2 base against a Protoss on 2 base. You got to say Protoss is going to be in the advantage there.
Well, right now, Soulkey's doing kind of a good job here. He's got a lot of units. It's a very scary army, but NaNiwa's decided that he can fight it. Up comes this Roach concave, but the force fields go down, and NaNiwa's doing a great job.
He's continuing to push him back here, now in complete control of the map. Soulkey tried to cut him off on the exit there so he could then retake the third again. And at least then he'd be back to square one, but now NaNiwa can start scanning the map. And look, this is already forcing Soulkey to get into a defensive position again. This is already forcing Soulkey to not think about a third base whatsoever.
NaNiwa is on the comeback trail, Tasteless. Look at this, he's pushing up once again. His supply is superior. Soulkey trying to hold on this ramp, but there are so many sentries and both Immortals left alive. The force fields go down, and it looks like Soulkey gonna lose even more. GG!
GG. NaNiwa has won game number 3. Incredible, unexpected. This may be the beginning of something a lot of people didn't expect. Let's throw it over to DJ Wade and see what everybody's thinking over at the expert desk.
Thanks, guys. NaNiwa stays alive, takes game number 3 after Soulkey with a very quick 1-2 punch. We've also got a few guests joining us. Is Apollo and MC also here at the expert desk. Hello, gentlemen. How are you?
I'm doing really good, thank you. Watching some fantastic StarCraft with you guys.
Absolutely. So let's talk about this game. First off, let's talk about what we've seen so far in the Soulkey versus NaNiwa game, and then let's talk about, you know, what Soulkey need to do to close out and what's NaNiwa need to do to try to grab a victory. So first and foremost, based off the games that we've seen so far, would either of you guys, Todd, you want to start us off with any thoughts about what we've seen?
Sure. First game was really weird. It was Soulkey trying to surprise NaNiwa, trying to catch him off guard. Supposedly it didn't work, but then NaNiwa kind of butchered the pylon placement. The links got in there, and then from there, I mean, he got some phoenixes, he stabilized. He wasn't in a particularly good position, but Soulkey hit one of the very few timings he could hit and make work with corruptors. It worked. In second game, NaNiwa went back to the style he was successful with when he had to play Revival and Zergs recently. And Soulkey was like, this is actually easy. This is not that hard. You just make Hydralisk and you counter Stalkers and Sentries. If your opponent's not taking a third, you're going to win almost every single time. And in that last game we just saw now, NaNiwa, he did a lot of work in the early game to snipe some Overlords, gain some map control, and then from there he went for the Immortal push. And I mean, the execution was just too good for Soulkey to be able to hold. Soulkey put up one hell of a fight, but it wasn't enough.
All right. Jeff, do you have anything you want to add to that?
One thing that could be at play, I actually turned around because I want to see if Soulkey had his booth open and he's like listening. He's like, winning control talks, I'll find this strategy out. But obviously that's what he's thinking. NaNiwa is actually, I believe it's 2-0, maybe 3-0 with proxy gates against Zerg. And in game number 1, in a best of 5, if you were ever going to do proxy gates, it's either you have the balls of MC and you do it in game 5, or you do it safely in game number 1, where if it doesn't work, okay, you've got other builds to go back to.
Right.
So I wonder if that was Soulkey's 9 pool saying, hey, I dare you to try it. I dare you to try it.
Yeah, and I would actually like to ask you guys about it. You know, kicking off the series, one of the things Todd said as we went into this series is that, you know, I'm really curious about what Soulkey could do, right? NaNiwa is going to be very aware. He's had the recent tear versus Protoss. And I kind of agree with you, Jeff. It seems like opening up with the 9 pool is sort of a way to maybe throw NaNiwa off by also making a statement. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, he's changed his build almost every single game now, Soulkey, from game 1 to game 3. So if we look at NaNiwa with his success, especially when going for these proxy 2 gateways, these have been against opponents who have always been going for hatchery first all the time against him, who have been on 3 hatcheries against him. But I don't think this is even possible for him to pull off, because it's not exactly how Soulkey's been playing. Soulkey's been changing up so often, a proxy gateway would be very risky.
MC got a chance to sit down and watch the end of game 3. What do you think NaNiwa needs to do to beat Soulkey?
I won Soulkey in season 3, you know, so I just Soulkey. Better thing is 2 base Orin and timing attack. So NaNiwa tried 2 base Orin with Immortal, so he must do 2 base Orin or some timing attack because Soulkey's late game so good.
There's also an interesting development going on. We've seen 3 games now, 2-1 in favor of Soulkey. First 2 games, yes, that 9 pool got into a lot of damage, but we saw Phoenix game 1 and 2 from NaNiwa. That's not usual. He has done that in the past, but that's not what we saw against Revival. That's not what he's prepared specifically for these Zergs. Game 3, we see that Immortal all in. This is something that I know Apollo has talked a lot about in the past. That's the build that he does on Belcher Vestige. Is he going to come out in game number 4 and show what he's already shown before? Because he's saying, all right, you know what? New things aren't working. Back to the old stuff. Let's see if it works.
Which map is the next one? Do you know the next map?
Great question.
I don't know yet. I wanted to take a look at the game here. There is a moment
we can do that.
which for me was very important.
Is this game 3?
Yes.
Okay.
We can jump into the replay directly, and we're going to be looking at the 9th minute. Soulkey, he has some insane game sense. He knew that was coming somehow, so he's on 44 probes to 54 drones at this point, so just 10 walkers ahead. And you see the production type, 13 roaches, 16 zerglings. He knew this was coming, so he made a lot of units and he prepared some kind of a flank in the middle of the map to basically receive MC, sorry, not your MC, to receive NaNiwa and basically surprise him, maybe hope he was going to butcher the force fields and be able to win from there. So he prepares this attack, he spots the army here, and if you're NaNiwa, you don't really expect this to be coming anytime soon, but he has some insane reflexes. He goes through those bushes here, and from there, perfect force fields. The time warp was a little bit useless on the Zerglings, but NaNiwa able to trade quite well. But he traded a lot of force fields for those roaches, so he didn't have many force fields from there. So that meant he had to keep on warping Zealots and Sentries to be able to make this work, and he had to hit the perfect force field. Actually, when the 3 Spine Force went up there, I thought this wasn't going to be working at all, almost ever. But NaNiwa somehow, with good enough time warp and force fields, was those 2 Sentries getting caught too. That was not good.
And this is where the 8 roaches also get caught from the back.
What do you think, MC? What do you think about this?
Yeah, his control is very well.
I think there was one really important part of this attack, was because, you know, NaNiwa's going between these two locations. He's coming up here, then he goes down. And then with his movement, he actually finds there's a lot of attacking that goes on, and I think it's like a minute or two later, he moves around back to the third, and that's when he lands those crucial force fields that actually changed everything. Because everything that I've seen, what we've just looked at together, everything's not working, I don't think. He's trading, and then this move right now was the most crucial point of all of this Moto All-In.
Yeah, he really did a great job with
What do you
those.
think, MC? Are those some MC force fields?
I think he supported very well, and you said only 54 turns by Soulkey. So if fighting is wrong time, Zerg's power is down. So NaNiwa try good fight.
Don't try a rush.
Yeah,
You
don't try
to
rush
delay
and-
the fight as much as
just
possible.
post speed, and get us some point. So yeah, he played well.
All right, well, gentlemen, we're going to hop into game number 4, so let's send it back to the casters and get this match back underway.
Great analysis there, guys. It's time to go to game number 4 here on Derelict Watcher.
Derelict Watcher, this can be a pretty tough map to take a 3rd and 4th base on. You know, there's a huge amount of surface area for Zerg to work with, so force fields aren't going to be quite as good defensively unless you're on the ramps. I wonder if that's going to impact how NaNiwa chooses to play this map.
Well, we'll have to see. You're talking about this map in general, it is one where the 4th base is very hard to secure. The 4th base is way out there. The 3rd base is not even that hard to secure, so we could see some openings from NaNiwa trying to control that, but of course, you know Soulkey knows that, so you know, he may be... Actually, do you think there's a possibility he's going to come in with some lings again early
Some
on?
early lings?
Yeah.
No, you know, I'm not feeling early lings from Soulkey. I think if he just kind of plays a pretty standard game overall, watches for 2 base all-ins, and then just macros right against a 3 base NaNiwa, it's going to be it's so difficult for NaNiwa to actually either hold on to the 3rd or try to take a 4th.
Well, you know, it's possible NaNiwa might be bringing this comeback, and that would be incredible.
That would be.
To take out the scariest player in the entire world, in my personal opinion, the favorite for this tournament, Soulkey, that would be something incredible. And guess what? The game is just now loaded up. So let's do this, guys. Let's get hyped. It's game number 4 now. NaNiwa, the non-Korean hope, against the legend Soulkey, looking invincible. This is the WCS Global Finals. In the upper right, we have our Protoss player. Can he keep coming back? Make some noise for NaNiwa. And his opponent here in the bottom left, the #1 ranked player in the world. Give it up for Soulkey. Oh,
well,
all right.
Well, that's a 9 pool right there.
That's another 9 pool. He's doing this again.
There's those early lings you were talking about.
Now you got to keep in mind, Soulkey is somebody who probably expects to win this entire tournament. So he is definitely prepared for beyond just NaNiwa, but I'm just so curious to see if he's going to continue. Let's just say he gets farther and farther and farther and farther. Oh, hold that thought. We got a great update for you guys. Deer just won his series.
3-1 over
3-1.
Wow.
So that's some huge news here. Anyways, back to this pool.
Tasteless, this is a little bit scary. It looks like from NaNiwa, this is going to be a Nexus first, probably into Forge. But either way, a 9 pool against us on this map in particular, this makes it very difficult for NaNiwa because the ramp is so big, it's so difficult to wall in, and he's not scouting.
Yeah, I think NaNiwa might be kicking himself if these lings do a ton of damage here, considering there's definitely a pattern here. And Nexus first.
There it is.
There it is.
Oh God, a Forge or a Gateway will be coming down next. And either way, the Zerglings are going to be in there before that is walled off. And that is terrible news for NaNiwa, especially since he's scouting the wrong way. He's not going to know about this till they're there.
Oh my God, like 2 passing ships in the night. Will he see it? No. So he won't know until the lings are there at the front door.
They're going to get right in there, and the thing
Absolutely.
is, you can pull your probes all you want. He's going to target down pylons most likely. How do you hold on here?
The Lings have now come in, and they are hitting the pylon here, which is powering what will soon be this gateway when it comes out. Now chasing away these probes. The pylon will go down.
The pylon goes down. He needs to warp in a cannon. He does warp one in a great position. But these Zerglings have already done a lot of damage. They're causing a lot of lost mining time, and now they're starting to kill probes.
3 probes killed in the course of a second. The Lings now running up into the main. Inside the main now, he can disrupt mining there. Obviously, the cannon not mobile, unable to help in that part of the map.
This is a huge amount of damage done so far, Tasteless. And all this lost mining time, killing off that pylon and killing 3 probes as well. And they're not even done yet.
The Lings continuing to move around the map. NaNiwa getting more and more and more behind. For every second that passes, Soulkey cranks out yet another drone, and more probes going down here with some of the sickest micro I have seen with Lings. He is doing such a good job just making sure that every single Ling is being optimized with damage. None of those Lings have died during this entire harass in the main.
This is insane. GG. That's it. And Soulkey takes out NaNiwa 3-1.
An impressive series. Soulkey, your winner for this series. Now the WCS Global Finals is officially Korean only. Wheat, what is everybody thinking over there?
Well, gosh, I can't wait to ask these guys what they thought about that last game or how to break it down. Apollo, you said, well, there might not be that much to say, but yeah, maybe the collective grunt or sort of like, that happened as this happened. Anyway, break it down. I mean, what were the chances, actually, of NaNiwa holding that? You said that you observed as he saw those first Zerglings that had to go back.
Yeah, I was looking behind, and I looked over, just kind of expecting to see some reaction upon seeing those Zerglings, and he did, as I said, push his head back upon realizing that this game was pretty much over. MC, as soon as he saw the pool, as soon as he saw NaNiwa's build, MC said to me, it's over, this is impossible to hold.
What do you guys think about it? Maybe we should talk about what NaNiwa's thought process was going into it, opening Nexus first. What do you think?
He's behind. He's the underdog. Soulkey is a guy that you probably don't play completely standard against and say, oh, I'll just out macro him, I'll out micro him. No, probably not. You need an edge. And NaNiwa's had this philosophy for a long time. It goes back to even when he was struggling with PvZ back in the Wings of Liberty days, and he would say, Nexus first or die trying was like one of the things that came out of his mentality. And he doesn't scout. He won't do it because he wants that extra 15 minerals. And he says, if you're early pulling me, I'm dead. If you're not, I'm probably ahead economically. And that's the dicey rule.
I mean, if I recall, NaNiwa played Revival so well on this map when he won that 3-0. And I was kind of wondering, like, did he open Gateway? I don't think he did in that situation. I think it was Gateway expand. But do you recall?
He might have at least a few times.
I think
but the
he
thing is,
Gateway.
NaNiwa, when you go into a best of 5, you're gonna need to change up your build orders depending on players. Sometimes some players they don't like to change up. They don't like to change things up as much as some other players would. And I feel like NaNiwa, a lot of the time, he has remained unpunished for sometimes doing greedy things. I'm more concerned and curious about what was Soulkey thinking going for these builds. Was he really trying to punish NaNiwa for doing sometimes greedy? What do you think, MC?
I actually have his thoughts. We wrote it down. He told us it was 110011111001. Binary. It's a joke. You don't. This is terrible.
Let's
try again later. That's the other language I speak, though. You asked me. I speak 2. Binary and that one. English.
What do you think about Soulkey doing 10 pool, 9 pool, like always changing build?
I think because NaNiwa sometimes never scouting against opponent, so maybe Soulkey know that. So and NaNiwa sometimes greedy play, really greedy. So NaNiwa thinking he will try 2 base all-in, so he need greedy first.
Do you think Soulkey got lucky, or it was normal that NaNiwa
I think this is mind game, so Soulkey won mind game.
It's a good mind game, though. It wasn't like it's a 6 pool all in. You know what I mean? Like it was a 10 pool or 9 pool, and if it doesn't work out, then he's a little bit behind. But like if it's forged first and a cannon goes up, it comes out pretty equal actually. Some would even argue in favor of the Zerg, but at worst, you're not out. You know, it's not an all-in. You're not out of it. So it's a good dice.
With Soulkey being a game ahead as well, I mean, I think that was almost ideal of a situation because I mean that map's how many games in Protoss versus Zerg have we seen? Zerg players go for a timing to try to kill the Protoss player when they're trying to take a third base, and if MC's saying it correctly that NaNiwa wants the best start he could physically get, and Soulkey's got a game in hand, then I think it makes perfect sense.
All right, guys, well, let's hear from the winner of this matchup. The #1 seed here at the WCS Global Finals. We got Chobra on stage, on hand with our winner. Take it away.
Thank you, Marcus, and a bittersweet moment for a lot of StarCraft 2 fans out there, but it is the #1 seed, Soulkey from Woongjin Stars, moving on to the round of 8. Give him another big round of applause, everyone. Yes, the #1 seed, and of course, some would claim the best Zerg for a while now. He's been holding on to that title, and I just have to ask him how he feels having to face NaNiwa after, in a way, helping NaNiwa get into this tournament.
그러면 축하드리고요. 저희 나니와 선수를 어떻게 보면 출전하는 거를 도와주셨는데 시즌3 결승전 때 많이 이기셔서 다시 만나야 된다는 걸 알게 나시면서 마음이 어떠셨어요?
일단 제가 나니와 선수를 도와드리긴 했는데 또 어떻게 보면은 또 떨어뜨리게 돼가지고 좀 미안한 감정이 있는데 제가 아니고 다른 선수를 만났으면 어땠을까 하는 그런 아쉬움이 남아요.
I do feel quite sorry for bringing him into this tournament and then being the one to knock out NaNiwa. And I can't help but think, would it have been better for NaNiwa if he faced someone else in the early rounds of this tournament? Those are the words from Soulkey. It wasn't easy though. So far, every game we've seen or match we've seen on the stage wasn't easy for the winner. I want to ask, what was going through Soulkey's head when he had some trouble in Game 3 against NaNiwa?
그럼 보통 때는 이제 수비적인 플레이로 많은 칭찬을 받으시는 선수신데 셋째 게임 때 나니와 선수가 정말 쉴 틈 없이 계속 공격을 하면서 어떻게 보면 좀 당황을 하시는 모습을 봤어요. 유닛들도 좀 많이 없고 그래서 그때 지면서 좀 두렵거나 그런 생각이 드셨나요?
굉장히 3경기에서 당황을 많이 했어요. 그렇게까지 게임이 될 거라고 생각을 못 했는데 나니와 선수가 잘하신 것 같고 좀 예상 범위에 벗어난 것 같았어요. 그래서 그래도 4경기에서 좀 빌드가 좀 엇갈리면서 쉽게 이길 수 있었던 것 같아요.
I was a bit scared and caught very off guard with NaNiwa's play in Game 3. I never expected to have to play a game like that against him in this matchup. I had a lot of thoughts running through my head. However, in Game 4, just in terms of build, I played the right moves, I played the right cards, and that's how I was able to pull out with this match. Now, of course, a lot of hope and a lot of pressure on this man, not only because he's a #1 seed, but now because he did take out that foreign hope in StarCraft 2 this year. Let's see what he has to say about that.
그러면 이제 원래도 첫째 시드셔서 어떻게 보면 많은 기대를 가지고 들어오신 선수신데 이제는 또 해외 팬들에게는 나니와 선수를 이기고 올라간 선수이기 때문에 정말 더 큰 기대가 있을 것 같으세요. 좀 부담이 된다거나 그러신가요?
나니와 선수랑 그냥 붙는 것 자체로 좀 부담이었는데 이기게 돼서 좀 그렇고 제가 꼭 결승까지 가서 우승하는 모습 꼭 보여드리도록 하겠습니다.
Yeah, I already felt a lot of pressure just having to face NaNiwa on this global stage. However, now that I did beat him, I promised everyone I will go to the finals and win the whole championship just for that. So give another big shout out for Soulkey, the man who has promised to now carry that flame onto the final stage. Back to you, Marcus.
Thank you very much. Soulkey advances out of the round of 16 into the round of 8, and that means we know another quarterfinal matchup. That means Soulkey's going to be going up against Bomber. This is going to be the last chance. Any final comments on that previous matchup? And Soulkey's maybe his declaration that, hey, if I get past Bomber, you will see me in the
cool
finals.
Interview. I like him calling out the finals, saying, I'm going to take it to the finals. I like that confidence.
Maybe a Soulkey versus Deer rematch from the WCS Season 3
Hopefully
finals.
a little bit closer.
I would hope so.
We're like,
Please.
the big match. 4-0. And we're just like, let's next year. It's going to be great.
Yeah. Now, you guys, if we go by your head predictions, well, Todd was right, but you kind of said, my heart here is for NaNiwa and the final foreigner here in the WCS Global Finals, but it was Soulkey that made it, and you even predicted the right map scores, Todd. So
he's pretty smart. I know.
Well,
I know what people.
He is.
Despite what people say, this guy is pretty quick.
I like him. He's sharp. He's sharp. All right, you guys. You know what match is next?
Which one?
The one you're excited for. What is it, Jeff?
I believe it's going to be the Dong taking on MVP.
That's right. Raise your dongers as we got J-Dong going up versus MVP. And on the other matchup, we're going to have Pult versus Alive on the esports plus stage.
This is
Mr. Bitter.
either like a really good chunk of minutes for EG, or this is like a very forgettable moment in time.
Mr. Bitter and MC J-Dong versus MVP. J-Dong has been chasing a championship win for a while, finding himself in second place many, many times. What do you guys think about this particular matchup and how it'll play out?
You know, I probably would have picked J-Dong to win the whole tournament had Jeff not made that choice early on. So I went with Soulkey, a good safe second pick. I'm so excited to see J-Dong versus MVP because it's hard to say it's a clash of the old versus the new because J-Dong has such a legacy from Brood War, but his rise to greatness is kind of happening right now, right? This is when he's showing us the best J-Dong we've ever seen in StarCraft 2. Versus MVP, who's that legend from Wings of Liberty who's still sticking around, who's still here at BlizzCon. It's a pretty epic confrontation, but I do think J-Dong is going to win it 3-2.
All right, well, we're not quite at predictions yet, but I'm glad that you shared with us. MC, what do you think? J-Dong has been chasing a championship for a while. Do you think he has the chance to potentially maybe take this one? Will this be his tournament?
Yeah, I think he can, but he must do first take the king, so
okay.
If he win this game, he will do champion.
Wow. All right. We'll get your comments on that when we come back. We are moments away from yet another round of 16 matchup, J-Dong versus MVP. Let's shoot it over to Paul before a quick break.
Thank you very much, guys. It is, of course, time for our final quarterfinal, round of 16, to find our last two quarterfinalists. And it's a big one as well. Make sure you keep tweeting at us. We want to hear your predictions for the rest of the round of 16 and for the quarterfinals, because we know a few of them now as well. So keep them coming, #WCS and #BlizzCon, and keep the drinking game going, live thread as well. I might even drop something for you in the next round. The next match is going to be a classic, I promise you. It is a Brood War legend against the King of Wings. Coming up next, it's J-Dong versus MVP. Don't go anywhere.